This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
The opinions on this program are those of the program host and guest and not necessarily those of WPSL. WPSL does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WPSL. Legal questions? Ask a lawyer. Give us a call at 340-1590, 340-1590 here at the studios of WPSL. And Ask a Lawyer with your host, attorney Stuart M. Address.
Oi, 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 oi.
Hey, you've covered them both.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and any of the others that I missed, I apologize.
Merry Kwanzaa.
That's going to be part of today's show. So we are now through Christmas, in the middle of Hanukkah, and all I can tell you is I've gone through lots of wrapping paper. When I run out of one roll, I do the gift in half of one, and then I do the rest of the gift in half of another. It's my signature. My girlfriend even made me take a picture of a gift I gave her because it was wrapped so uniquely.
That's so cool. I kind of like that.
And I also am known for using a roll of tape on every gift. They're very hard to open. I don't know how to fold.
Man, that's...
So I try to fold down the bubbles with tape.
Have you seen his shrink recently?
Hey, you know.
Oh, my.
I periodically have had a shrink on and off for a couple decades. So
do they leave the office
people
screaming?
People tell me I'm crazy. I tell them I might be. Beware of me.
Oh, my.
Anyway, before we get into a very interesting show today, and I hope you all did have a very nice Christmas and are in the middle of a very nice Hanukkah, and a little plug, tonight at Temple Eitz Chaim, which the rabbi will probably talk about in the next segment, is having its night of 10,000 lights. So bring all of your menorahs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 candles each, and we're going to light all hundreds of menorahs tonight. And
I thought it was 8 candles.
Well, it's the sixth night of Hanukkah, so it's 6 candles
plus
the one on top of the shamas.
Okay, yes.
So it's 7 candles. And we're going to have a lot of menorahs there. I understand we're going to have, I think it's 20 dozen or 20 pounds of latkes. So please come help us eat them. A very small service and more of a party. Jelly donuts, other types of donuts.
Oh, God.
So come
that
on
would
out.
kill me.
Come on out to Congregation Eitz Chaim. We're across from Met Stadium. 6:30 tonight, not our normal 7:30 service. Anyway, I was watching TV over the break, and something came across where there were 2 Republican senators in a bar. And they were chit-chatting a little bit about politics. And it got me to thinking. I now know what is wrong with the Republican senators when it comes to this impeachment trial.
They don't drink enough?
No. It's the opposite, actually. The problem is they would see and they would think much more clearly if you just took the pub out of Republican. Ba-dum-bum.
Okay.
I came up with that myself this morning. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's mine. I hereby declare a copyright.
So speaking of copyright, what's the going to be the copyrighted official liquor for the Republican Party? Crown Royal, maybe, or something like that?
Screwed royally.
Ooh.
It's a combination of every liquor that tastes disgusting. All right. So, I thought since we are in the middle of Hanukkah, we just passed Christmas, litigation doesn't stop just because of the holidays. In fact, in some situations, litigation increases because of the holidays,
After the
particularly
family
when
dinners.
you're suing about Christmas or Hanukkah. people actually file lawsuits about Christmas and Hanukkah.
Oh, come on.
So let's look at a few of them, okay?
Gee,
Let's see what we can learn. Let's have a little bit of fun and a little bit of education. All right. I'm going to give you, my distinguished producer, Greg, I'm going to give you 10 short fact scenarios. I want you to tell me whether they are true cases or make-believe.
Okay.
Okay. First, an Australian crooner sued Sony Music for royalties over the 1982 song Christmas in Dixie by the country music band Alabama. Alan Caswell claims a tune he penned, On the Inside, which was a smash down under, has a similar, if not identical, melody to Christmas in Dixie.
Well, first of all, I don't know anything about country music, but knowing about music lawsuits, I would say that would probably be true.
That is true.
Yeah.
I feel like Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
The answer is, no, number 2. The owner of a beagle dog in Columbia, South Carolina, sued a local theater group staging a production of A Charlie Brown Christmas for unlawful infringement. The pet owner claimed the thespians, by the way, that is a theatrical word for actors and actresses, the thespians misappropriated a photographic image of her Snoopy lookalike in its advertisement.
Oh, come on. You know, that's stupid enough to be true.
It's false.
Oh, okay.
Make believe.
Well, you mentioned South Carolina. I think anything goes there.
A mother in Pocatello, Idaho, sought an injunction to prevent the town's annual holiday parade from going forward because her daughter had been unfairly passed over for Snow Queen.
That's another one that sounds crazy enough to be true. Oh, no.
It's false.
Okay.
You're not doing too well.
It is Idaho.
You're 1
though.
for 3.
No, knowing Idaho.
That's okay if you're a baseball player.
That's kind of
Not
typical.
okay if you're a free throw shooter.
That's right, yeah.
All right. The owners of Greenberg Smoked Turkeys brought a copyright infringement lawsuit against a competitor in Texas. Greenberg alleged 3 paragraphs of preparation instructions that came with its turkeys had been ripped off and posted on the website of its gobbling rival.
That almost sounds like that could be true, too.
That is true. Okay.
Hey, I'm batting 500.
All right, let's see.
The average is improved.
Restaurants in London that serve traditional British plum pudding, complete with the occasional prize of a silver coin or lucky token cooked inside, are asking diners to sign liability waivers, giving up their right to sue for chipped teeth, sliced tongues, and other mouth injuries.
Try metal poisoning. That's gross. I don't know.
Ask a barrister?
Ask a barrister, yes. I'll say true. I don't know.
That is true.
Oh, man. Oh, no.
Neighbors of a Milwaukee, Wisconsin man who erected a 20-foot Santa Claus built entirely out of beer cans, automobile tires, and carpet remnants claimed the structure violated the subdivision's restrictive covenants.
You try code enforcement. I would say that would definitely be true.
False!
Oh!
All right, a few more. A man dressed as a reindeer is suing for personal injuries after being shot by a bow hunter while crossing a field following a holiday pageant.
Oh, my. That can't possibly be true.
Really? You sure?
I don't know.
You don't want to reconsider?
I have no idea.
That's false.
Yeah.
Inmates in an Arizona jail brought a lawsuit against the sheriff's office.
Which jail? Have I been there?
Probably.
Oh.
Claiming that being forced to listen to Frosty the Snowman and Feliz Navidad for 12 hours a day was cruel and unusual punishment.
Knowing Arizona?
Sheriff Arpaio.
Oh, God. True.
It is true, and by the way, it is true, and by the way,
Arpaio.
the inmates lost.
Are you serious?
They lost. We do have a call, but let me get through two more here. The actor who played bully Scott Farkas in A Christmas Story has sued to collect his share of royalties from sales of a calendar and action figures based on the popular 1983 film.
Okay. I don't know. No, false.
It's true.
Ooh. Ooh.
Last one. Trying to keep that 400 average going.
Yeah.
The winner of a fruitcake eating competition in Orlando
Yeah, there we go.
has sued contest organizers after being rushed to the hospital and undergoing diverticulitis surgery.
No, that's stupidity. Why would anybody eat a fruitcake?
I don't know.
I'd say false.
It's false.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to line one. We have Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Save us.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello. Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How can I help you?
I was referred to the station to speak with a gentleman that I guess can help with some type of consultation about, loss of jobs and stuff like that.
Well, that's me. Why don't you tell me the basic facts?
I worked at a hospital for a couple of months. Had a great record with my job as far as patient care. I had a patient assault me. It's on camera. There was witnesses. We made a police report. There's actually, she's actually has a warrant out for her arrest for felony battery.
Okay.
However, my job ended up terminating me.
And why did they say they terminated you?
They were after like a 12-day investigation. With the report that they brought to me when I went to HR, they said that I displayed a threat to the patient and I used profanity, which both were untrue.
Okay.
So
Here's the way that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you do have a criminal claim the state can pursue for the battery that the patient committed on you. You also, theoretically, you have a civil lawsuit you can file against the patient for the battery to get money damages. That's separate from the criminal action. As far as your claim against the employer, I don't believe you have one. Florida is an at-will employment state. Essentially, that means that an employer can terminate an employee for no reason or for any reason that doesn't violate a statute, federal or state. They can fire an employee for a good or a bad reason, a factually correct or incorrect reason, like here. They can fire you because they don't like the look of your nose, although they can't fire you because you're a woman. They could fire you because they don't like the size of your ears, but they can't fire you because you're a woman. Here, they did an investigation. They came to a conclusion. Let's assume, as I do, as you've said, that they're wrong. You did not display any threat. You did not use any foul language. They're simply wrong. It doesn't matter that they're wrong. As an at-will employee, they can terminate you. For example, I've had cashiers or tellers call me many times. They said I was short $5, in my drawer, and they fired me. And later that night, they found the money. Can I get my job back? And my answer is always, unfortunately, no, unless they want to give it back to you. Because even though they were wrong, you're an at-will employee. As long as they're not firing you for an unlawful reason under state or federal law, they can do what they want.
But how does she go after the patient if they can't find this person? I mean,
well, why can't they find the person? They know who the patient is.
Well, she said
they've gone after her. We filed a police report.
Okay. So the state's pursuing it.
The reason for them terminating me, they wanted it to fit their agenda, basically saying I was the threat, but in reality I was the victim, and even
I agree with you. You were the victim, and I guess maybe they didn't want the police involved, negative publicity, and so they just decided to get rid of you, and that's unfortunate. It's unfair in my view, but it's not unlawful.
Okay, so you're saying aside from the criminal charges, there could be a civil lawsuit?
Yes, you can file a civil lawsuit against the patient for battery, and arguably one of the consequences of that battery was your termination. And you're going to lose money as a result of that, and even if you get another job, maybe you're not going to make as much. Those could be what's called consequential damages of the battery.
Right, yeah, because that's in my HR file now,
Yeah, so on that, you might want to, whether it's my office or another office, call and go into a much more in-depth consultation as to whether or not, we know that patient was there with no insurance and is not going to be collectible, or for all we know, is Daddy Warbucks, has a ton of money.
Right.
If the person has some assets, it may make sense to at least threaten a civil lawsuit.
Okay. Well, do you have a direct number that
Sure.
I can reach you at?
My office number is 772 781 8003.
Yep.
And Sadia is there waiting for your call. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you for calling. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
okay,
All right,
now
that's
wait a
very
minute.
unfortunate.
There's video.
Yeah.
How would they terminate her over that?
Oh, I've heard this story many times. There's video. There's no audio. Can't do audio. So there's video. For all they know or are claiming, she may have made a move that's interpreted as offensive, even though it might not be. Certainly doesn't give the patient the right to hit her. And so, they do what they do. But to me, the real reason is she involved the police. And the hospital didn't like that.
Okay.
And so they decided to get rid of her.
Okay.
To me, that's what I suspect really happened.
Trouble. Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's unfair, but it is not against the law. And that's the problem.
Okay.
That's why at my office, most people who call we don't end up hiring as clients, or they don't end up hiring us as attorneys. Because in my view, there is no viable claim. Because what they've called with is something that is legitimate, it's real, it may very well be unfair, disgusting, but there's no law against it, particularly in the employment context.
Okay, so say it goes ahead in civil court and she wins a judgment. How do you collect?
All right, let's say she sued this patient for battery civilly. She wins the case, the jury awards her $37,000. Now you're going to file that judgment as a public record, so it's always there as a lien. And then you're either going to do one of two things. First, every judgment has a form attached to it in Florida. It's an asset form that the judgment debtor is required to fill out within 45 days. If they do, they give you information on their bank accounts and everything else. It makes collecting fairly easy. Do most of them fill it out? No. So what do? I just had this very, very recently.
Wow.
So what you do is you file a motion for an order to show cause, why that debtor should not be held in contempt for failure to complete what's called the fact information form. The court issues an order to show cause. If the person shows up, they're ordered to complete it or risk arrest. If the person doesn't show up, a bench warrant is likely issued.
Oh, wow.
And I have had this happen when I was practicing law in Daytona Beach before I moved down here. Twice I had judges issue bench warrants, and twice I got a call from a jail saying such and such is here. Would you like to come in and take their deposition? Because once they gave me the information, they own the keys to the kingdom, as they say. It's a contempt charge. They own the keys to the kingdom. They can get out as soon as they comply with the court's order, which is either complete the fact information form or have the attorney come in and conduct a deposition with a court reporter, get the information, ask the questions, and then they can leave. So how easy or difficult collecting is always something an attorney should be thinking about up front. If you hear that this person has nothing to their name, that they're often unemployed, that they have a home, but it's subject to the homestead exemption, you may want to tell your client, you may very well win this lawsuit. That's liability. But as for damage, as for collecting, you might want to use some glue and paper the judgment to your wall. Make a couple thousand copies, you can have wallpaper. and that you know.
So
that should,
wait a minute there. Go back to the homestead exemption again.
In Florida, as you know, if you own a home,
We have
you can claim a homestead exemption.
Right.
That homestead exemption could be for $23 trillion if that's what your home is worth. A lot of people used to come to Florida for that reason alone. Your homestead exemption is free from attack from any civil judgment. It is not free from the IRS, and it's not free from state revenue.
Okay.
But a civil judgment, you cannot get after anything that is subject to a homestead exemption.
Whoa.
So people, this happened a lot 10, 20 years ago. Maybe it's happening now. People in other states that knew they were about to file for bankruptcy would move to Florida, take all the money they had, and buy a big, giant home, and then file for bankruptcy. Now that home was protected. They come out of bankruptcy, they sell the home, they get a smaller home, and now they have all their cash.
Oh, gosh.
That's following the law, but
It's quite devious,
it is. And you know something? There are lawyers that will advise you to do that, and I don't blame them, because that is the law. And if you can use the law to your client's advantage, then you do it.
Stuart, that's sleazy.
Well, I don't think that's sleazy. I think chasing an ambulance is sleazy, but using the law to your client's benefit because some legislator didn't think it through.
Okay, yeah.
That's their problem. My problem is representing my client.
Okay.
And so if I see a little trick I can use that's perfectly legal, I'm going to use it. And that was one of them in terms of, it always was happening, people coming and buying big arse houses and then filing bankruptcy.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, so a little bit more Christmas and Hanukkah. This happened in South Florida, folks. There was a Christmas light display that was one of South Florida's biggest and most controversial. Mark and Kathy Hyatt of Plantation had a display that drew throngs of spectators to their home each December. And the city of Plantation sued them. And they sued the couple in the hope of getting the couple to scale back or even ending their display. The display featured 200,000 lights.
I remember this
A
story.
movie screen, snow, a 30-foot tall tree, and even a Ferris wheel for stuffed animals.
Wow.
The city lost.
Good.
A Broward Circuit Court judge, Marina Garcia Wood, ruled that the city failed to prove the attraction created a public nuisance. Now, you all may remember we've spoken about nuisance a few weeks ago. This failed to create a nuisance. Now, honestly, I don't know why. I mean, if I'm the city attorney, I think I can make a pretty good argument for nuisance.
I think you were where I thought you might be going would be traffic, causing traffic.
Well,
problems.
that is absolutely part of it.
Yeah.
The lawsuit was in the courts for a while, and ultimately, city lost. So,
stay out of Plantation is what he's trying to say.
well, no, that you can go there and watch the lights display.
Well, yeah, you can go down there and see the lights. Yeah.
So let's just go over a few other lovely lawsuits, not all of which I know the outcomes of. Okay, so if you're really interested, you can do some Googling. All right, let's see. This one looks pretty interesting because it ended in an opinion by a justice of the Supreme Court.
What?
Yeah, these Christmas cases, sometimes they go all the way.
Holy smokes.
So, Clark Griswold's puny display of 25,000 lights
Griswold
was nothing compared to the Osborne family display with 3 million lights. 6 neighbors sued them over their excessively celebrity Christmas display in Little Rock, Arkansas. A local judge forced the family to limit the illumination to certain hours of the day and to only 15 days between Thanksgiving and Christmas. The Osbornes appealed, and the case ultimately went all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, before I tell you how the court ruled, just from those facts alone, I think what the local judge was trying to do what are called reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions, which you can do to limit First Amendment expression. Now, was limiting it to certain hours of the day a reasonable time, place, and manner? Probably.
I would think so.
Was limiting it to only 15 days with Thanksgiving and Christmas? Probably not.
Yeah, you might want to
Because
give it
the
to
city
New
or the
Year's.
town has to have a compelling reason to justify a restriction of the First Amendment. Limiting it to certain hours of the day, I can understand the rationale behind it.
Yeah, I can too.
Limiting it to, 6 weeks, there's no real public interest there. Why? Why 6 weeks? Why not 4? Why not 8? So, Justice Clarence Thomas
Okay.
was not sympathetic to their plight. And actually they lost. The original limitations were upheld. But, as this article says, cheer up. You can still see the famous display at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Florida.
Oh, no. Okay.
They purchased the entire setup and installed it in an area of the park.
There you go. Okay.
So it still exists, but not in Little Rock.
In Disney. Okay.
All right.
There's nothing in Little Rock
Let's
anyway.
see. What about this one? This is in my view, I don't want to say stupid, but let me just say inane. East Point Academy, an elementary school in South Carolina, canceled their Operation Christmas Child annual toy drive after receiving a letter from an American Humanist Association claiming that they were intervening on behalf of perturbed parents who were concerned about Operation Christmas Child's association with an international Christian relief organization called Samaritan's Purse. Well, I don't know what happened there, but that seems a little bit flimsy.
You think?
All right, now, what about a house on Crown Point Parkway near Cleveland? Was known for their Christmas lights and holiday celebrations for decades, even appearing on the Today Show. But one citizen, the power of one citizen, decided enough was enough, claiming that the noise and debris falling from a Thanksgiving fireworks display ruined his holiday meal, caused damage to his roof and car. he delivered a Santa lawsuit to the tune of $3,000
Well,
and won.
That would be relatively cheap if it damaged his roof.
Now, we're going to go to the case of the missing menorah.
Okay.
Ba-bum-bum. I wish we had some sound effects here.
Yeah.
What a rinky-dink radio station.
Actually, I've got them on number one. I just don't know where they are.
All right, we're talking about Seattle now, where it rains 365 days a year,
Yep.
and that's known as the Seattle Rain Festival. I have a shirt that says so. All right, faced with the threat of a lawsuit over the lack of a menorah in their holiday decor, Seattle-Tacoma International Airport may have slightly overreacted. And after a local Jewish Orthodox educational group asked for a more balanced decor, the airport responded by removing 14 holiday trees. What the heck is that?
Crickets.
Crickets.
You asked for sound effects.
All right. But they only removed it for a long weekend.
Okay.
After the public outcry about the removal of holiday trees was so extreme, the airport rethought its decision, and 4 days after the holiday trees were removed, the trees reappeared, still minus a menorah.
The wind blew it away.
That's right. And by the way, we lit a community menorah just last night for the fifth night of Hanukkah at the community center in Port St. Lucie. It was a really nice event. We had cupcakes to decorate, and dreidels, and coloring books, and activities, and it was really very nice. And hopefully that's going to become something we do each year, and it gets bigger and bigger. All right. We sort of talked about this one already, so it's not going to be a surprise. But we can call this one Songs of Holiday Torture. You ever think you might have heard Wish It Was a Merry Christmas one too many times?
Oh, yes.
And you know, it's well known that when they are torturing prisoners, not here in the United States, of course, but when you're torturing prisoners, very often you give them loud, blaring music over and over and over again to drive them crazy. It works. I mean, I'd like to get I Wish It Was a Merry Christmas a little bit out of my head quicker. But every time I hear it in my head, I go, I had a dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. I made it out of clay. All right. Sheriff Joe Arpaio has been sued many times.
Oh, no. Not another
over
one.
his cruel and unusual Christmas Carol torture method. Aghast at having to listen to 12 hours of culturally diverse holiday music,
Yes?
inmate sued for up to $250,000 in damages.
Wow.
Sheriff Arpaio has been triumphant every time and pardoned once, and even issued a red and green press release after the 6th lawsuit that said, "We keep winning these lawsuits. Inmates should stop acting like the Grinch who stole Christmas and give up wasting the court's time with such frivolous assertions."
Okay.
Holiday torture, courtesy of Sheriff Arpaio. All right. Oh, what about this one? Like taking candy from a baby. Do we have a baby cry?
Oh, actually, it's in there
You're
somewhere.
really good with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, at first glance, candy canes may not appear to have religious connotations. I mean, goodness, I like candy canes. This is not a horror movie, Greg.
Oh, okay. Yep. I thought it was Home Alone. Isn't that what you were
According, they were apparently first made to represent shepherd's crooks, was the argument, the candy cane. So they were religious in connotation. And when one student showed up to a school with candy canes, bearing notes explaining that connection, A principal in Texas banned the peppermint treats. Scrooge! Bah humbug.
Bah humbug. Oh, boy.
Well, another Texas elementary school banned pencils that said Jesus is the reason for the season.
Well, yeah.
After 8 years in court, neither principal was found liable for banning these things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see.
How much money was wasted on that lawsuit? I mean, that's. Come on.
You know the one in Plantation? The city's attorney's fees were
Yeah.
just under $250,000.
Oh my God. Was I taking the city attorney fired?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's holy smokes.
Let's see. Here we go back to good old Florida. Where's the sound of oranges?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, squeezing oranges.
A Florida woman sued her employer for firing her, saying that the dismissal was due to her refusal to say Merry Christmas. I'm sorry, to say Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. She said that her core Christian values required her to say Merry Christmas. She absolutely refuses to give in on the basis of values. And she said, all I wanted was to be able to say Merry Christmas or to acknowledge no holidays. As a Christian, I don't recognize any other holidays. She lost. They want you to say Happy Holidays. Remember, at-will employment, folks. Now, interesting issue here. At-will employment. But is this protected expression under the First Amendment?
Ooh.
Which would be an exception to the at-will doctrine. Apparently, I don't know how far this case went or whether it was appealed at all, but at least the initial decision was no. It's a legitimate firing. Now, could it have been argued further up on the appellate level that her decision to say Merry Christmas was a tenet of her religious beliefs, and so that to prohibit it was a violation of the First Amendment's freedom of religion? I think so. I think that argument could have been made. Because I had a case a couple of years ago.
Well, if it's like a public school, that
This is a store.
oh, it's a store. Okay,
Yeah.
well, okay.
You know, I had a case a couple of years ago where a store told a gentleman to cut his dreadlocks because they wouldn't fit in the hat that the employees were required to wear, you know, at like a fast food restaurant. And he protested, and he claimed that he was not going to cut his dreadlocks because they were part of his Rastafarian-based religious beliefs.
Oh, yeah.
And the store basically said, we're going to fire you. He came to me, and he told me that women who had very long hair weren't required to cut it. They had to, you know, put it in a, what do they call those things?
A bun. Or something. Yeah, yeah.
And put it so it fit underneath the hat.
Yeah.
And he said, well, why can't I do that? And I said, very good question. I don't see why you shouldn't be allowed to do that. So I wrote a demand letter threatening a lawsuit, and he was allowed to bun his dreadlocks and put them in under the hat and did not lose his job. So I think similarly here, it probably could have been pursued further. Now, here's one that, you know, I believe in the principle here. I don't believe in the explanation for the principle from this particular citizen. I think it makes it sound petty, and it's really not a petty issue, and I'll explain that in a moment in my view. Maybe the rabbi will follow up if she deems it relevant. In Leesburg, Florida, a $1,000 menorah was erected in the Lake County retirement community after a retired lawyer sued. The resident was frustrated with constantly passing by other residents' holiday wreaths and cavorting reindeer decorations. So he insisted on a menorah, and ultimately they gave in. Now,
Why not?
I agree. Well, I agree. Why not? But the argument he made sounds petty. I have the same feeling, and we, as a temple, decided not to pursue it this year. Maybe we'll never pursue it. But there was a time. Port St. Lucie has had many lawsuits over the displays in front of City Hall.
Oh, the nativity
over the years
thing. Yeah.
One year, they took away all the displays.
Yep, I remember that.
Another year, they put up the displays and a menorah. Now they're back to just what I'll call the Christian displays. So we asked for permission across the street at the community center to do the menorah lighting last night. It doesn't stay up for 8 nights of Hanukkah. It was there for 2 hours. In my personal opinion, I'm not expressing the opinion of the congregation. In my personal opinion, the city of Port St. Lucie should have a menorah right next to the creche and the Christmas tree. First, I think it's only fair. And second, hey, we'll donate the menorah. It doesn't really cost that much, because the city once argued about expense.
Right.
And forget for a moment whether the law requires it or it doesn't require it. This is the same thing when it comes to customer service. It doesn't require much effort to put up a menorah. And if it's going to make that percentage of city residents, and we're not insignificant, happy and pleased and feel good, why not do it? Why choose to alienate? Okay? I don't understand. I'll tell you a quick experience that we had over Christmas, actually, Christmas night. I was visiting my mother in rehab after shoulder surgery, and she was, Christmas night. So we went out, my girlfriend went to 2J's to pick up a $100 plus order for my mother, my sister, my son, my girlfriend. And she read back the order to the gal online. Everything was okay. When she got there, she went through the receipt, and everything was okay. She gets back to the rehab. Her meal is not in the bag.
Oh, no.
And, she calls, and somebody first gives her a little bit of lip.
Uh-oh.
So she asks to speak to the manager. She gets the supposed manager. They never really want to give you the real manager. And he says, look, come back. We'll have it ready for you. And, we'll throw in a slice of cheesecake. Okay. I mean, look, what else was she going to do? Either not have dinner or go back. It's a real pain in the tuchus, And everybody else is eating, and now she's running back to get her meal. It's wrong. So she got a survey in the email, and she told the truth.
Okay.
She got a call yesterday from the manager of that particular 2J's, who said that information had not been conveyed to her. And she wanted to know who my girlfriend spoke to when she ordered, and who did she speak to that offered to make it right. And she told my girlfriend that this particular supposed manager, they'd been having some problems with in terms of things not getting back to her.
Oops.
Information not being passed up the chain. And asked for my girlfriend's address to send her some things. Now, that in there's going to be a gift card or things like that.
That's
okay?
fine. Okay.
That is an example of wonderful customer service.
Yes, it is.
Okay?
Yeah.
Not only was it the day after the email survey, obviously it went to corporate sent it to the right store, and the store reacted. It was prompt, it was courteous, and it took a very negative feeling and makes you feel mistakes happen. It was irritating, but it's not like I'm not going to go back there. That's the goal of customer service.
And somebody's actually reading those surveys.
And that's nice to know.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is. Yeah.
Those businesses who do not know how to engage in customer service and who argue with you, or when even throwing in, a $3 dessert which costs them $1, they don't offer it or something. That leaves you with a bad taste.
Clark Howard calls it customer no service.
Well, you're right. And likely, not only are you not going to go back, you may leave a negative Yelp review. You may tell everybody you know about the experience. It's bad. It's illogical. Okay? So, there's good customer service, there's bad customer service. Here, in this particular example in Port St. Lucie, when I drive by City Hall, I'm going up Port St. Lucie Boulevard, and I see what is a beautifully lit Christmas tree. I like it. It's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with it. But I can't drive past it without momentarily thinking, where's the menorah? And so I feel excluded. And that's the whole point. There is no reason for me or anybody else to feel excluded when the cost of inclusion is so nominal. Why do it? They've been sued many times. They know what they can do and what they can't do. I'm sure it's probably consistent with the law unless somebody's just decided nobody's paying attention again, so we'll do what we want. But it would be so nice if without anybody threatening a lawsuit, they just decided, let's just put something out there. Costs them virtually nothing.
Yeah.
And gets them so much goodwill. But, hey, that's my personal opinion.
No, I
right.
agree. That's good. And, seriously, the area is becoming so diverse now, they really need to start thinking a little broader and less narrow.
Right. We are growing exponentially in Port St. Lucie. This is one of the reasons that Crosstown finally got open.
Yeah.
There's a lot of planned road work. We are almost going to double in size in the next, I think it's 10 or 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Part of that is tradition is going to continue to grow like wildfire, out further west. With the doubling of population, we're going to need more roads, more schools, more businesses, and that's great. So there'll be more of everybody here. There'll be more Catholics, more Baptists, more Protestants, more Jews, more Muslims. I mean, it's not going to be one type of people that come here. And the cost of making people feel welcome.
Right.
When it is so nominal, it flabbergasts me why any entity, business, city, I don't care, they wouldn't do it. So many businesses you walk into have one of those electric menorahs in the store.
Yeah, I've seen those. Sure.
It is such a minimal effort, but it's appreciated, at least by me, to see that little Jewish symbol alongside all the Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And look, if I walk in and that makes me feel good, it likely means I'm going to come back. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not going to necessarily come back if all I see is Christmas stuff. A lot of places are like that. But it's certainly well worth it to have me feeling good rather than, All right, so here's an interesting one as we only have a few minutes left. A production company sued Dollywood for using the song Christmas Time Is Here in a play the amusement park puts on each year. The production company had co-written the song, featured in a Charlie Brown Christmas, and said the production studio owned the copyright.
Ooh.
According to the documents obtained by TMZ, a very reliable source.
Harvey Levin. Know him well. He used to have the desk across from Carol's at NBC.
Company said that it recently became aware that Dollywood weaves the track into its stage play, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Now, to be clear, Dolly was not sued herself. Her Wood was sued. Dolly Wood.
Yep.
And Charlie Brown is still okay with Dolly. Just not Dolly Wood. And the production company demanded that Dolly would pay for past use, stop using the song in the future until it makes a licensing deal. My response to that? Good grief.
ASCAP or BMI. one or the other. That Charlie Brown's in there.
Well, as we wind down, I had one more little thing here, but we won't get to it. And that was a review of the Supreme Court cases as to what religious displays are constitutional in public places and what are not. And would have been interesting. Maybe we'll talk about it really briefly in 2020 before we get to other stuff. We're going to try really, really quickly to get one call in. Paul on line 1. Oh, you got to speak really fast like a spread debater.
Just to let you know, we're out here listening. No questions this week, I guess. But
okay.
We enjoyed the show.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll join you for donuts tonight.
That sounds wonderful. We would look forward to it. Make sure you say hi to me if you come. All right, folks, that's it. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. I will see you in 2020 when our foresight will be just as good as our hindsight. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend.
Foresight as good as hindsight.
2020.
2020. Gotcha. Okay. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie. Ask the Rabbi is next.